And so the angel said to me, pray for Trump. Now, my confidence was boosted when later on that year, I was in prayer and I said, Lord, the news is saying that Hillary's going to win. And what do I make of this? What's going to happen? Just tell me. I like to know. Just tell me what's going to happen. And the Lord said to me, Hillary will be indicted, but she will still run and she will lose in a landslide. And sure enough, a couple of weeks before the election, the FBI Comey comes out and he had a press conference and he read off a litany of issues with Hillary's emails. And all the world was watching. And if any of you remember this, it sounded like he was about to announce that she was being indicted. But instead what he does is he reads off this litany of crimes and then he says, but no reasonable prosecutor would press charges, which isn't the FBI's job anyways, to press charges. And so that was it. And then what happened was all over the news, they were saying that Hillary was indicted publicly, but not actually indicted. And so the word of the Lord came to pass just as he said. When he told me Hillary will be indicted, but she'll still run, it didn't make sense to me. But after that event, I got it. And oftentimes that's how the word of the Lord is. It might not make sense to you or come to pass the exact way that you thought, but when it comes to pass, you will know that it was him. Which brings me to today. Now that we are 20 years in, roughly, to this 40-year revival, what is the word of the Lord regarding the next phase? Now that new leadership that's been mantled across America, and those people have learned how to better steward their mantles and walk in their power. And now that remnant of leadership is emerging, not necessarily publicly, not in the form of, as you've heard me say, buildings with names on them that call themselves a church, but people who are really confronting powers and principalities by their life, by who they are, by their prayer, by their righteous judgment of what's happening in the nation. Now that this leadership is emerging, now that they are forcing the enemy out from behind the scenes to show his face and play all of his cards, now that the frog of America that was being boiled to death slowly by a nefarious collection, a nefarious network of people across the earth who have been trying to align themselves with the vision of one world government, one world religion, and they've been using everything from the U.S. military to the City of London's banking to the Vatican's religious stronghold on the earth. Now that the people who are in alignment with one world government are being exposed for poisoning the air and poisoning the water and wanting to depopulate and rigging elections across the earth. Now that has happened, what's the next phase? And what does this mean for you as a believer? And I try to keep this fire hot on this podcast. I don't want to dull it down because this is really a believer's podcast and really those who are called to be radicals for Jesus. See, I believe that Christianity is for radicals only in its original intent. The kingdom of God is for radicals. Jesus was a radical. He was a revolutionary. And so milquetoast, lukewarm Christianity where everyone just goes along to get along, I don't believe in that. And so I want to keep this fire hot. We have enough milquetoast messages given out in these things they call churches all across the nation on a weekly basis. I want to keep this fiery hot. So for those of you who have the zeal of the Lord, who believe in revival, who are following Jesus with all of your heart, who don't want to play the game of church, for you, what is the next phase of this 20-year revival? What is the word of the Lord in regards to that? Well, I've received a word recently, and it's still developing in me, but I want to give you what I've got so far. I believe that one of the next phases that we're going to see begin to come to pass is the deconstruction of this thing that people call church. You've heard me harp on it a lot. If you've watched any of our past podcasts, channels, if you've been to any of our conferences, over the years, I have harped on the reality of this thing that they call church in America that perhaps has its origins in Kirke, circle, church, Kirke, the goddess of the sun, who was actually known for casting spells to make people fall asleep. Has America been put to sleep under the principality of Christendom? And yes, Christendom is the main principality that has been ruling over America. It's created a controlled opposition, a counterintelligence psychological operation against those of us who are on fire. The enemy has created a normal Christianity that's not even close to the kingdom of God.
My Father, what I'm crying out to day and night, night and day. Oh, this is beauty. Everything else was false. This is.
You're the one the angels cry out to. You're the one the elders cast their crowns before.